Welcome to ChristiTutionalist Politics podcast, aka CTP, in association with thelibertybeacon.com. And I am your host, Joseph M. Leonard, and that's Leonard. CTP is your no muss, no fuss, just me, you, and occasional guest type podcast. I really appreciate you tuning in. As Graham Norton would say, let's get on with the show.
Welcome to Season 1, Episode 43. Where did the kids in cages talk go? No, really, seriously. I thought the left cared about these kids in cages. And before I go too much further, for those of you looking on via BitChute, Brighteon, Rumble, and YouTube at J. Leonard Detroit, behind the scenes sneak peek video, I will insert an AF Bronco cartoon as shared by conservativedailynews.com from several years ago. For those of you just hearing audio, it is, of course, showing some kids in a cage with the Obama logo on it, and Obama leaning on the cage saying, sorry, kids, you'll have to wait till they elect Republican president before the media notices you, which was true. And of course, as soon as Trump became president, it became oh my God, there are kids in cages. No concern. And of course, we on the right started sharing all kinds of pictures of Obama's guy, Jay Johnson, Department of Homeland Security, wandering through centers, detention centers, and you could see the kids in the quote-unquote cages. Now, of course, let's define cages. What they did was kind of build containers. I don't even want to use that word. That's really, you think of a container like a cargo ship container, so not fair to depict it like that either, but indeed a detention area defined by walls, if you will, made of fencing, you know, the standard kind of chain link fencing, so that Customs and Border Patrol agents could patrol through the detention facility, have these various sections closed off by fencing, so that indeed kids would be in their own, like, encaged or enclosed, better word, enclosed area, and could be monitored by camera and indeed physical walkthrough patrols at times. As I'm looking on in my notes here from thelibertybeacon.com piece that will appear, hopefully an image as I've defined, the source being Twitter, from by a user Walk Away Movement there, indeed showing one of those pictures of Jay Johnson touring a detention facility, and indeed, lo and behold, kid in a cage right behind there. So shout out to X, and shout out to I'm having a blank here, Sarah Smith and Fingers Malloy of Wham, who always call it X. Shout out to you two. Where this picture originated from back when, as of course other pictures, The left, of course, never able to deal in the reality that it was the Obama administration that put those in place. But it doesn't fall on Obama either fully, because why did these need to be put in? Well, it was a Clinton-era law that still applies today that the left just ignores, that children must be separated from those they've crossed with until, supposedly unless, proper guardianship can be appropriately established, then released into their custody through DNA or blood tests or proper documentation of any kind, birth certificates, some legal understanding that a child should be released into custody of someone, not just whomever they came over with, who likely would be a cartel established human trafficker. The Bill Clinton law, bipartisan, passed back in 1997, I think it was. I have that later in my notes, I'll mention it, to prevent human trafficking. But I guess the left doesn't care at all about any of that. They just want these kids released to anybody that claims they have guardianship over them. So the left doesn't care only about immigration law violations, but no care whatsoever regarding human trafficking laws and likelihood that these kids, if you just let them go, will be paired with someone who will put them into sex slavery or other sort of human bondage to pay off their and or their family's debt for help from the cartels helping them to cross the border illegally. And from my notes here, indeed, and the law under which this is happening, you guessed it, from 1997, indeed, signed by Bill Clinton, was/is to help fight human trafficking. Guess libtards conveniently forget and or don't care about that anymore, reading direct from my notes. It's not as if they are coming across the border with birth certificates proving they are family, further complicated by judicial rulings that actually upheld and order the separations. So they must be separated, and with record numbers of them flooding or being trafficked across the border, those cages being built, those fenced off areas were needed. And Obama, at least at that time, was at least remotely pretending to care about the law and separating the kids from those likely trafficking them across the border. So, you hypocrites, you want that change? Republicans already offered several immigration bills that included such changes, and the left were obstructionists. Now, this part of the notes that I'm reading from actually come from a Before It's News piece that I wrote. So this goes back several years. So talking about Republican laws to shore up immigration laws, to enforce them. Indeed, the U.S.House recently, last year, passed H.R. 2, which would have stiffened the laws and demanded the Biden administration uphold previously existing laws. No real need for new laws. But of course, the U.S. Senate, well, the enemy media, I've got to say, of course, completely ignore the Republican-controlled Congress H.R. 2 tough immigration law and tout the U.S. Senate amnesty bill. It further waters down immigration laws, not enforces existing immigration law, and provide for de facto amnesty. One of the provisions in the Senate amnesty scam is to allow emergency inaction of stepped up enforcement. You've got that ability now. What the news doesn't tell you is that it's for 180 days only and can only be kicked in after 5,000 a day. So it enshrines in law 5,000 a day can come across with the Biden administration now officially, lawfully, if the U.S. Senate amnesty farce passes, not having to do anything. Ignore all the other previous laws. And one of the other statutes, importantly, is de facto green card giveaways. They say it's for more money for more courts to hear the asylum cases. I keep saying amnesty again, mistakenly. The asylum, 99.9%, I can't talk today, 99.9% of all these people coming across do not qualify for asylum. And they know that. That's why they're given a court date and they never show up for them and then get ordered deported, but then we can't find them. They've been let loose into the country. But now, Department of Homeland Security, if the U.S. Senate amnesty bill were to become codified into law, which, yeah, that replacement theory then becomes replacement law. I mean, they're not hiding it. It's right there in the Senate bill. But yet that's supposedly some conspiracy theory that the fascocrats are replacing voters they're bleeding, U.S. citizens, blacks and Hispanics and Asians, and even, to be religious, those of Jewish persuasion are now in Blexit, walk away, Lexodus, the Latino American leaving the Democrat Party is referred to, Jexodus, the Jews leaving the Democrat Party, finally waking up to how antithetical and hostile the left is to any and all faith, let alone defending our ally Israel against those who engaged in terrorist attacks against them on October 7th. But that's an aside. Replacement theory would have been replacement law. It's replacement fact. It's right there in the Senate bill for anyone to see and read what's going on. But the bill allows for them to bypass the courts. The Mayorkass and others could literally stand at the border, shaking the people's hands of those illegally coming across. Thank you, congratulations, welcome. Here's a green card. Put whatever name, make up a name, lie, cheat. Here's a de facto green card. We de facto grant you asylum. No court date. No, we're just gonna say, yeah, you look like you're really, truly seeking asylum. Mayorkass signs on the dotted line. Congratulations. And then what does that mean? Basically a green card in 3, 6, 9, 12, maximum 24 months. Bam, rubber stamp, rubber stamp, rubber stamp. No court hearing necessary. I'm going to go back to my notes now because I wanted to make sure I don't miss these parts. You'll notice the left is no longer showing those pictures of kids in cages. Well, obviously, right? It's not advantageous. It's not a political partisan issue all of a sudden that Biden is in office and keeping kids in cages. No, we got to make you forget all that unless if Trump wins in 2024. And of course, once Trump takes office, the whole kids in cages images will come back. You can bet on that. That's a surefire bet. Don't expect getting good odds on that in Vegas because that's a surefire win. If someone brings their children, breaks into your home, I'm reading here, probably sounds like it because all up front admitting, yes, I'm reading this right from the notes. If someone brings their children and breaks into your home, are you forced to then continue to house and feed the lawbreakers' children, even if you removed the adults then from your home for trespassing, or we remove and deport the adults for the law breaking of breaking immigration laws? Ask a leftist, if you catch someone roaming around your backyard, do you invite them to stay or call the police and report a trespasser? These hypocrites will, of course, get utter silence in response, give you utter silence in response, knowing they are cornered in their false narrative. Male and a female break into your home with a child. You call the police. Are the police going to remove all three or say, oh, no, the kid is a separate issue. The kid's in your house now. Now you got to take care of the kid. How bleeping ridiculous, but that is kind of the left-wing idiotic, emotional, hysterical, knee-jerk reaction. Oh, about the children, except for their slaughtering through planned slaughterhood and abortion. Countless children still a day, even after the Dobbs decision, and still pushing for abortion on demand up until the point of birth. And even in some cases, they want to be able to leave a birth child on a table to die. So, should children benefit from the crimes of their parents is the ultimate issue there. And since this is from an original Before It's News piece from a few years ago, I'm repurposing at the Liberty Beacon. I bring up, should Bernie Madoff's children get to keep the money Bernie stole? No, there's also Son of Sam laws involved. You can't benefit financially from your crimes. And as others have pointed out over the years, if you break into Disneyland with your kids in tow, is Disney only allowed to kick you out, but required by libtard logic to let the kids then stay and ride the rides for free and eat the food for free? No, of course not. But these are, of course, logic and reason examples that make sense. You can't talk logic and reason to a leftist moron. They don't deal in logic and reason in any way, shape, or form. So, with that, I am going to indeed wrap it up. This is going to be a somewhat shorter episode. Thankfully, some of the other ones have been getting a bit longer. And close it out in the libertybeacon.com piece. These are Trump critics show ignorance on immigration issues with coyote posts all over social media, to which I respond in closing. They are clueless as to the basic terms and facts on this and virtually every and any other issue, not just immigration. But we are We are supposed to listen to their emotional hysterics, concerns over reasoned thought. No, sorry, I don't think so. We need logic and reason and upholding our already established logic and reasoned laws, or we are not a sovereign nation. The U.S. Senate bill is, of course, dead in the House, as it need be. And I haven't heard of late, I won't be surprised if they don't, the media, as I hashtag ENEME, small letters, TIA, media, may bring it up as we get closer to the election. But the Senate bill is an amnesty bill and codifies up to 5,000 a day illegals can cross before an administration would have to do anything, and that's what the left wants. So it's codifying illegal immigration. It's codifying asylum claims just be bypassed from the courts, and the left being able to hand out green cards to anyone and everyone they want, wading across the Rio Grande or coming across our even northern border. This isn't just about the southern border. So now you have, as Paul Harvey would say, the rest of the story. But as the election grows closer, the left will start peddling the U.S. Senate bill lies again and continue to ignore, and you need to talk about the U.S.House GOP H.R. 2 bill, which I've been saying they should pass again. Dust off H.R. 2, give it a new bill number, change a few words, repass H.R. 2, send it to the Senate, force it down Chucky Schumer's throat. And of course, Chucky Schumer will ignore it. But that at least then puts the talking points back in our favor and in their court, Schumer's court, to excuse why Chucky Schumer is doing nothing about illegal immigration. But will our GOP leadership have the brain capacity to figure that strategically smart thing to do versus they're strategically stupid and just say, oh, well, we already passed H.R. 2. They're ignoring it. You need to repass it as a new bill and send it to the Senate. Wake up. You got to play the game to some degree on the leftist terms, the way they do it. That's the way it has to work for media, for the talking points to be in our current favor. We may not like playing that game that way, but we must at times. Indeed, like the saying goes, don't get in the mud with the pig and fight. You just get dirty and the pig likes it. Well, I'm sorry. Sometimes the enemy lays out the terms of engagement that you must engage. Like with Lincoln, he didn't get to say Gettysburg, Schmettysburg. I often say this about the identity politics argument. Sometimes the enemy dictates a battlefield you must play upon. So we must engage in these things in order to get that upper hand back. Thank you all. Take care and God bless.
Thank you for having tuned in for ChristiTutionalist Politics show. If you haven't already, please check out my primary internationally available book, Terror Strikes, coming soon to a city near you, available anywhere books are sold. If you have locally run bookstores still near you, they can order it for you, or autographed copies are available online direct from me via terrorstrikes.info/shop. Be sure to check out more about today's discussion at thelibertybeacon.com, where my articles drop every Saturday. And let me remind, over time, the fancy high production items will come. But for now, for starters, it's just you as a very appreciated listener by me. all substance, no fluff, no fancy high production intro or inserts, at least yet, just straight to key discussion points. A show that looks at a variety of topics, mostly politics, through a Christian U.S. constitutionalist lens. So again, thank you from the bottom of my heart. Take care. God bless. Like and subscribe to ChristiTutionalist Politics podcast and share episodes. We need your help to grow the show.
Just wanted to give a brief shout out and thank you to all the folks on iHeartRadio and Player FM for being two in the top 3 platforms that my show, ChristiTutionalist Politics, is most often listened to. So thank you all. Take care. God bless.